All right, everybody. So we've got the majority of the backfilling rock in place. You can see over here, we got a little bit humped up here. So we're just a little bit below there, but we've got a decent little low area here, and it's not quite big enough for me to come in and turn with the tractor. So the next step in this process is to demo the existing dog kennel that's been here for quite a while. Once we get this roof system, truss system, post system, and the old dog kennel out of there, we'll be able to come in with the tractor and push that rock into this hole and then back drag this rock out to where we are more consistent, like you see down that line there. I got a little work to do here. Stay consistent with the top edge of these blocks, which is where we want our rock to be, as our concrete is going to be 4 inches thicker than the height of the block here. So we're going to set you up on the tractor there, face the dog kennel, do a time lapse of me demoing this thing. We'll see how far I get this evening. It's getting late, but excuse me, see it from this side as well. Take it off there. It's cooled off. It's not as hot and humid right now, so we're going to start tackling this thing. We're going to have our OSHA approved ladder system, ladder on the top of the doghouse to get up to the top of the shed kind of thing. As this has got a pretty severe overhang to it. I wanted to keep all of this from washing out when I built it, so I left this real long overhang on it to get the water out and away from it. So I don't want to stand on that edge, it'll fold down, and we're going to try to reuse this for the side walls of our shed. We're going to do the shed in white fascia around the gutter board there, and probably put a dark gray roof on top, I think is what the wife and I have decided. So here we go.
1, 2, 3, come on!
And just like that, everybody, metal's off the roof. I'd throw one piece out of the way over there, but if you look on the far side there, they all stacked up okay. Those are a few short pieces that I had left over, so I just put the bottom one on first, next one over top of that, top one over top of that, so that the water would run over top of all of it. But we're going to take this metal, we're going to grab it all, we're going to stack it up right here and stage it for later. And then we're going to start tackling the framework. All right, everybody, we've got the metal off, as you can see there behind me. Right up there, we've got all the purlins and the truss system that I made for this dog kennel here. I kind of just made it a cathedral style. I didn't put anything on the inside here. I put a support on the outside, screwed to the building here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start popping them purlings off. We'll get them off, tossed to the side and staged. And we're probably going to use this lumber for our street boards, which will be attached to the outside edge of the big concrete blocks all the way down into the other end of the shed for us to pour this L-shaped concrete pad here. So we'll see how they come off of there and if they're in good enough shape for that, but we're going to get started.
1, 2, 3, come on!
All right, got chain adjusted. We're good and tight now. Just a little bit of slop. Checked fuel, half tank. Checked bar lube, good to go. Again, this thing hadn't been started since November. Maybe I shouldn't say November. Probably more like February. Let's see if it'll start. Oh, Well, that was close. Like any guy out there, you gotta rev up the chainsaw as soon as you start it. Here we go. Well, that was fun.
1, 2, 3, come on!
Hey everybody, we got the kennel down. All we have left now is 2 posts, 1 more board on the shed, and then we'll pick up all these nice square rocks. And the reason why I put that there before is due to the fact you see my gravel was eroding from the dogs getting up on that edge. So my plan is to get these rocks out of here, take them, store them, if you will. Maybe I shouldn't say store them. Put them in my stockpile. Put them in my rock pile. That's a good one, huh? Nah, that's not a good one. Anyway, we're going to get all them rocks out of there, and we're going to take the tractor after we get these posts out of there as well. We're going to push this into that hole and get it all to the same height as the top of them blocks. As again, the goal is to get the rock to the top of the block and come in here and pour concrete all the way over top of the block, all the way out to that outside edge, and all the way along this side of the shed here. And I can actually give you all a good visual there now that it's backfilled pretty good. Top of the blocks, concrete out, concrete over, all the way to the end of the shed there. And this is where the concrete will stop. And I'm going to keep this rock in here. I'll build it up a little better to where it's more of a straight, somewhat level with slight pitch to it. So we're going to work on getting these posts out of here. Probably going to take the tractor and a chain, wrap it around there, pull up in the hole, wrap it around, pull it up, pull over here, pull it up, lay them posts on the wood pile, get all the rocks out of here, take them back to the, again, rock pile. And then we're going to get these boards out of here and put them in, not all of them. We're going to save like this one here, that long one there. That one there's got a whole bunch of screw holes in it where the trusses were connected and isn't all that great. There's a few good boards we're still going to salvage out of that and stack them against the shed there for the future of this project in case we need a board for a crutch board or a screet board or something like that. We've got some good lumber for that. Again, we're going to save the metal. That metal is going to go on this side of the shed. We're going to have the same 2 holes here as on the inside of the shed. There's actually boxes. So if the weather gets bad, dogs want to get out of the weather, even though they had a roof over their head, they can go in them holes. And then We'll add a third hole here, and on the inside of the shed we'll probably have a whelping area. The long-term goal is for this shed to be heated and cooled. We'll see when we get to that. And then also put another kennel on that end, another kennel on this end. That's the long-term goals. Right now we're going to put 3 here, not 4, 3 here, 5 foot wide, 10 foot long. Dogs have each other by their sides. And then I'll probably go ahead and put this roof on, attach it to this roof here, but I'll probably park the tractor out here or something like that, or maybe even get the boat in here or something. But that's all decisions, decisions, decisions. Let's get some post out of the ground.
1, 2, 3, come on!
Well, that was interesting. I forgot about you guys. Hope that didn't scare you too bad. You were riding right against the ground, I bet. So anyway, we're gonna take this post out. We're right there. I'm gonna shove it that way. See what happens. There she be. We're gonna pull that sucker out of the ground, take all this rock, push it into the hole, take trash out of there first. Gotta get this thing level. Stay tuned. Oops, sorry about that. Got a little full. Let's move, you guys.
1, 2, 3, come on!
Alright everybody, got it back drug, I think pretty decent. I'm going to run the plate compactor down through here along that edge and across that and see if we can get a little bit better, rake some of this off the edge, rake it away from the building, run that packer again, and this corner right here, what's happening is I'm getting far enough that I'm hitting the contour of that bank back there, so I'm not being able to back drag that very well. So I'm going to do some raking, plate compactor. All right everybody, we're back at it again this evening. Sun's went down, it's cooled off a little bit. It's still hot and humid, but it feels better. What we're going to start on this evening is this triangle here. This triangle is 3 inches tall by 5 inches wide at the bottom, tapered down to nothing. It's triangle. I'm pouring 4 inches concrete, so that only leaves me an inch on top of that triangle. So we're going to take a diamond tip wheel on a grinder here, and we're going to score it on both sides pretty heavily. Maybe I should say more than score. We're probably going to cut it pretty deep, and I'm hoping we can take a hammer and bust it off. We're going to leave the rebar. Rebar makes concrete stronger. I know it's close to the top, but it is slightly lower than this here, and I'm okay with that, and it'll add strength to my concrete that I'm going to pour to this outside edge, as I've explained before. So we are going to give this a try and see how it goes. Trial number 1. Let's open.
1, 2, 3, come on!
All right, so we've got a cut here. You can see the cut over here on, well, can you see the cut? Yeah, you can see the cut right here on this end. We'll go try to bust it off with a hammer and see what happens. It wasn't too bad, but I should probably cut a little deeper on this side here. I cut decent on that side there, the back side, so seems like it chipped a little better when I cut it more of an angle. So we're gonna cut another one here and try a little bit different approach.
1, 2, 3, come on!
I am pretty sure, if you can see that smoke, that's not supposed to happen. That definitely didn't go as planned. Pretty confident we just smoked the side grinder. Now, obviously, that cutting wheel is too big for that grinder, but it's what we had, keyword had. Well, looks like it's time to back up and punt. We'll see what we can figure out. Stay tuned. All right, everybody. I am sure everyone has heard the old saying, go big or go home, right? Well, what we tried was what we had. Diamond tip wheel, 4-inch grinder. What we went and acquired just now, I shouldn't say acquired, what we went and borrowed just now is go big. And we are at home, so we don't have to go home. And then we have a backup plan. So if that doesn't take care of cutting off those wedges, we can revert back to this with the diamond tip wheel. Much bigger grinder, it's 6-inch, that's 4-inch. So I'm assuming this is going to do the job, but you can never be too sure. So we got the backup plan. All right, everybody, we are to the point that we're ready to put up some screed boards. So we got some 2x4s here. We've got all the wedges cut off of the top of the block. And if you're new to the channel, the reason that we did that is due to the fact that we're pouring 4 inches of concrete in those triangles. Excuse me, I'll show you one up here. Are 3 inches tall. So if we had 1 inch of concrete over top of that, my concern is the concrete would crack right there along that. So what we did was we demo sawed that off. We had a little bit to do with a sledgehammer just to break it a little bit. But we've got it all plate packed. And now we are going to get these chunks of concrete out of here with the bucket on the tractor. And then we're going to form up the screed boards and be ready to pour some concrete. All right, everybody, we're back on the dog kennel renovation. We've gotten a lot of rain. They're calling for more rain today, but my hope is to get the form boards on the edge of the block all the way around and from the shed out so that we can make these screed boards that we're going to use for the concrete. Now, what I've done is I do have a transit set up over there and the receiver here. I don't know if you can read my chicken scratch or not, but that line right there below that V is top of concrete. And then this line right here that I'm measuring off of right now is bottom of concrete. My thought process to this is, if I set it here, and I get that solid beep that we always look for, looks like I'm just a touch high on this corner. Looks like about 1/4 of an inch high. So my thought process to this is, if I take one of these boards, which are just scrap boards, and I attach it to this concrete here, so what I want is my concrete pad to be flush with the outside of this block. So if I attach this board to that piece of concrete and then come back with my laser and mark this board, then take this board and stand it up on end like this, screw them together, and that would make my screed board all the way around the outside edge. That's my thought process. I've got concrete anchors for these boards, so I could just stand that baby up right there, drill 2 holes, tap con it to the concrete, and then come back and cut it later after I get all of those boards around here, is my thought process. So we're going to try that path. We've got the transit set up. We're hoping, you can see the dark clouds coming in. It's very humid, so it's probably going to rain, but we're hoping that it stays out long enough that we can get these boards on, get that notched away, get that sideboard on, and when that screed board comes out, it'll attach to the end of this board that comes over. So I can show you all that, the process as I get going here. I want to start tap conning some of these boards on. I'm probably going to put them every 4 feet. So there's going to be a lot of weight of concrete pushing on that. I want to make sure that it stays in and doesn't blow out. That's my thought process. We're going to give it a try. We'll see what happens. All right, everybody. We've made some decent progress today on the prepping for concrete. These blocks, they don't stack perfectly by no means, but in order to get my elevations correct to where that section of concrete is a 1/4 inch higher than this corner, same thing in that corner to that corner, and then the front corner of the shed to the outside corner, I had to do some interesting things, we'll just say it that way, to get it there. So you can see this void right here. You can see on the inside the blocks are flush, but the outside, that block there is a little bit wider than this block here. And I know they didn't move when I plate packed all of this, but this is what we ended up with. So what I've got to do is figure out a way to close off that gap. And I think what I'm going to do is lay a board underneath of it and screw it to the bottom side of my screed board to kind of span that gap. I just have to cut a bunch of different lengths, but all of the outside screed boards are a 1/4 inch lower than the shed corners. And the reason that I wanted to do that is so that whenever I wash these kennels out, the dog feces, you know, good old smelly stuff, washes downhill and then falls off the edge, and then basically that becomes fertilizer for the yard that will promote grass growth in this area here. So I want to be able to ensure that these kennels stay clean. And the other thing you'll notice is you can't really visually notice it, but it's 14 feet from the shed to the corner. The dog kennels will be 10 feet, so I'll have a 4-foot sidewalk down this edge here that'll allow us to access the front side of the kennels to feed the dogs, water the dogs, let the dogs out to train them, play, run around, whatever. So we're making some pretty good progress. We're going to get these boards in here. You can see a gap underneath of that screed board there. I'm going to push some rock up on the outside. Same thing here. There's a small gap there, so I'm going to push some rock up on the outside so that the concrete has something to stop against. Stay tuned for more progress. All right, everybody, we got our gaps closed up all the way around. I think that's going to pour very nicely. We've got the screed boards set. We are basically a 1/4 inch fall in 14 feet. And from that corner to that corner, which is a little more than 14 feet, it's about the same quantity of fall. Might be right at 3/8 of an inch. And I know you all have heard me say this before. I like to use stuff that I have on hand. This is the old dog kennel. Got another section around the corner. All this will be poured in concrete. So this is going to act as my support for the concrete. Concrete isn't that strong, but when you put reinforcements in it, it is strong. So most people use rebar. Rebar costs money. This kennel, it's been around for ages. It was actually given to me from a friend of mine that didn't need it anymore. I called him up. I said, hey, I'm putting new kennels up. Do you need your kennel? Nope. Do with it what you want. I said, okay, I'm literally going to use it as rebar in my concrete. And he said, great. That means we don't have to haul it to the trash, which is exactly true. This is going to provide great support. Those are basically 1-inch pipes, and then the chain link fence in between. It's all still intact, as you can see there. It will we'll pull it up as we pour the concrete to get it as close to center as we can, but we also don't want it so close it'll create the floor cracking in the floor. So I feel good about it. We've got great support. It's hot and humid, but tomorrow we plan on pouring as soon as the concrete truck can get here. Stay tuned for the pour. Stay tuned for the furthering of the dog kennel renovation. Thanks for watching.